Hey yo, this is the day I learned that Martin Luther King Jr.'s idea of reparations was affirmative action, i.e. affirmative action equals reparations. Check it out.
We went through so much suffering, so now you owe us something? That's reparations, bro. What do you think, man?
He also wrote, a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him.
My life was bananaed for misinformation, all for talking about Charlie Kirk and clarifying the context behind the controversial statements that he made. And the fact that the NPCs in the chat can actually get enabled by the AI system by simply mass reporting me for misinformation is ridiculous. You know, this is all a form of indoctrination, making it where the system enables the NPCs to literally control the lives. They have control over the lives. If they don't like what they hear, they can just mass report you. This platform is going to complete hell.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if you told it to you.
Understand what schizophrenia is before you try to diagnose me with something, son. Just put the duck sauce in the bag.
Now it places the lotion in the basket.
Racist? You see all these Democrats say things like, just put the duck sauce in the bag.
It places the lotion in the basket.
Put the fucking lotion in the basket!
And you call him a racist? You pathetic NPC. Mock the kid? Mock the kid, are you at least 18? Okay. One simple ground rule, and whenever you're not speaking, mute, and whenever you speak, I'll make sure to do the same. All right? You cool with that, Mach 1? Venus, please don't flood my chat. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Mock the kid.
Yeah, Mock's fine.
Mock, what's up, man?
Nothing much. I think your background is a bit provocative, but I'm going to have a conversation about it. It also includes Tupac, which I think is ironic.
I have this much respect for women, and I get a lot of friends because I have respect for women. But then I was liking this girl in town, and I'm extra nice. Extra just like, oh, you're beautiful and you deserve the best. And she told me I was too nice. I couldn't believe it. That was the ultimate stab in the back. So I went through a week of just going, forget it, I'm just gonna be like them. Because they seem to get the girls, and they call girls the B word, you know?
Bitches ain't shit. We don't love them hoes, and it's like that.
A critique I have with this is the first that Charlie thought Martin Luther King was awful.
According to records, MLK was a cheater and womanizer. Yes, the records reveal that Martin Luther King was spreading his word in more than one way. But honestly, it doesn't bother me nor surprise me.
He also is not a big fan of the Civil Rights Act that was passed as a result.
We made a huge mistake with the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s. I know, the media is going to lose its mind over that one. But here's the truth. The Civil Rights Act was the beginning of government tyranny disguised as progress. For decades, we've been told this law was the greatest achievement in American history. But I'm not here to repeat the lies you've been spoon-fed in school textbooks or Hollywood movies. I'm here to expose what really happened. The myth of progress. Everyone wants to believe the Civil Rights Act magically solved racism, that it made America fair, just, and equal overnight. But let's ask the real question. Did it? No. What it actually did was create a massive, intrusive federal government that dictated how businesses should run, who people should hire, and how society should behave. That's not freedom, that's coercion. You don't cure hatred by forcing people to act against their will. You don't create unity by putting the government in the middle of every private decision. Liberty means choice. Liberty is messy. Liberty means you will encounter people who you disagree with, who might even discriminate against you. And guess what? That's their right in a truly free society. The Civil Rights Act stripped away that right. It told Americans that the government, not individuals, decides what's moral.
Of Martin Luther King's advocacy and his involvement with SNCC and some of the other organizations that brought it about. So I think it's a bit ironic. But the other point I would bring up is that I'm not sure Charlie and Martin Luther King would agree on really much of anything.
What you talking about, Phyllis? Jesus? They have Jesus in common? So let's just break the three. Jesus, politically unalived, and fought against social injustice. Just on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Bro.
I think Charlie Kirk was unalive for being a political commentator. Martin Luther King was unalive for being an activist. Those are two separate things.
No, they were both unalive for speaking the truth. Your logic is equivalent to saying, oh, well, Martin Luther King was unalive because he was black, and Charlie Kirk was unalive because he was white. That's two different things. Level up, bro. Okay, if you could kindly mute up. I think there's 3 points in there that we could address. The first thing, Charlie Kirk said that Martin Luther King was a bad person and that the civil rights in the 1960s was a mistake. So those are the first 2 points. So let's address that. The first thing is Charlie was saying that Martin Luther King was a bad person because he was. He cheated on his wife. He was a cheater. He slept around. But that did not take away from his most famous quote. The one thing, the lowest common denominator that Charlie, I, and Martin Luther King all hold in common is that when he said that he had a dream that one day his 4 children would be able to live in a nation where they wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is the essence of what meritocracy is. He wants his children to be judged on their merit, not the color of their skin. And so when he was fighting for civil rights, he was living in a time where the laws themselves were racist. Segregation, Jim Crow laws, these were the actual laws in place. He fought to eradicate that because he believed in equal opportunity. Now, Charlie Kirk was not against equal opportunity. He was against equality of outcome. That's completely different from equal opportunity. Equality of outcome only amounts to racial quotas. That's reverse discrimination. The complete opposite of what Martin Luther King was fighting for. That's no longer content of your character, but literally the color of your skin. The color of your skin can get you in as long as you get a passing grade. All while Asians and white males are left out of the mix. He was not against meritocracy. In fact, that's what he reiterates time and time again. That's literally what Martin Luther King was fighting for. What he is saying is that what the playback glitched out, but what I was saying is that what the civil rights had become was a complete departure of what Martin Luther King had been fighting for. And in fact, Martin Luther King said that he saw that the system was corrupt and was fearful that when his own people get integrated into the system, they would become just as corrupt. And equal opportunity had devolved all the way into equality of outcome through this virtue signaling of trying to overcorrect. That's what Charlie Kirk was talking about. This movement of the civil rights gave birth to DEI, critical race theory, affirmative action. These are all things that actually go to the opposite end of the spectrum and causes reverse discrimination, reverse racism, where you get to the point of white shaming. And the Supreme Court in 2023, when it came to Harvard versus the Asian students, because affirmative action was guilty of reverse discrimination against other minority groups that weren't black or white. So all of the 3 points that you just said, I understand, and it's the main points that people have been bringing up over and over. That's why I actually made separate videos for these topics. You can actually go and watch them for yourself, but I hope I did a pretty decent job of explaining the context of all of those things. And if you have some reservations or objections, let's just deal with them one at a time, please.
I'll start with the idea that Martin Luther King was, I agree with you in the sense that he was for a meritocratic society, but he believed the means by which you could achieve that involved affirmative action. He said that. His quote exactly is that this is why we can't wait, if you're looking for the quote. He said, special compensatory measures in jobs, education, and other realms were necessary to help achieve freedom for the black man. He also wrote, a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him. That is a quote from Martin Luther King. And the reason why I bring up Martin Luther King is that Martin Luther King, believed in affirmative action, wrote to his wife, wrote to his friends.
Oh, hold up, bro, you're not following the directions. Either we can address affirmative action or we can address reparations. But you addressed 2 points just now. I said 1 point. So do you want to focus on affirmative action or reparations?
Affirmative action, reparations were never mentioned by Mr. King.
What you just said is literally what reparations is, bro. That's your second point. Okay, I can't talk with you anymore.
That's not reparations.
I can't talk with you anymore. First, you didn't follow directions. Second, you proceeded to say that what you just said wasn't a hint towards reparations. We went through so much suffering, so now you owe us something? That's reparations, bro. What do you think, man?
He also wrote, a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him. He also wrote, a society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him.
What's wrong with you, son?
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if you told it to you.